Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again. Here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing my video review for the recent release of the Dragon Ball Z animated movie, which was called Dragon Ball Z Battle of the Gods. Okay, so finally the wait is over. It was released in Japan at the beginning of the year, and we finally have a chance to see it here in North America with subs. There's no dubbed version yet. You can find it online with subtitles, so if you haven't seen it, go ahead and see if you can find it online. You can. You just have to look hard enough. And good quality too, very good quality uploads from some of the people that are go ahead and doing it. I don't know if it's going to be getting a North American dubbed release or not. So, I'd say, oh, don't watch it online. It's illegal, whatever. But the thing is that we may not get. I don't know if Funimation is going to do the movie, if they're going to dub it, release it. Maybe one of you guys knows. If you do, please post in the comments below if they've set a release date. But so far, I haven't heard anything. So, it's kind of like one of those things. If you want to see it, you kind of have to watch it online. There's no other way, especially at this time for us here in North America. This review will contain minor spoilers. I'll try to avoid revealing too much, but it's something I really want to talk about. And in order for me to talk about the new villain character, which is Bills, of course, I'm going to spoil who he is, what he is, all these things. So I can't really do a proper review of this animated movie without spoiling it for you. So if you're worried about that, you may not want to watch this review. Those of you who do want to watch it and either don't care or have already seen it, don't care if I reveal some details or have already seen it, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy the review and you find it useful. I have been a fan of Dragon Ball Z since I was a kid, basically, and it's been a really long time since we've got anything from Dragon Ball Z that, aside from video games, the video games have been great, and there's been some small, short animated movies released with the games and things like that. But there hasn't been anything this good for a really, really long time, I must say. If any of you guys like Dragon Ball Z and have not seen this, you got to find it. You have to find it. This, for me, is a must-watch, absolutely, for a Dragon Ball Z fan. Even people that don't really like Dragon Ball Z, I'd say if you haven't really, you're not really a big Dragon Ball Z fan, well, then you might not like it. But if you haven't seen most of the series, you should probably watch most of Dragon Ball Z first before watching this. This is supposed to take place basically close to the end of Dragon Ball Z, after the whole Majin Buu thing. Fat Buu is here. You have characters at their age at that point, right? Before the events of GT, which brings up an interesting point, and I'll come back to this later, is whether or not GT is still canon with the events in this movie. I see it as either or. You can't choose both. You kind of have to say either this is canon or GT's canon, or neither is canon, because the events of this undo GT. In Dragon Ball GT, if this occurred, then Goku would have been able to go God mode, would be in his God mode, and the events would be totally different. Super Saiyan 4 would never exist. All these things would be different. So it's kind of like either or. You can't accept them both as canon. You have to make a decision on which you view as canon. And after seeing this, I would say that, personally, this movie right here is better than all of GT combined. In like an hour, like an hour and a half, this movie right here is better than all of GT put together. I can honestly say that. I would have to say that. Not that there aren't a lot of great moments in GT, but if I have to choose between one or the other as actually being canon, part of the story, I'd go with this one right off the bat, guaranteed. This was great, really, really great. The updated art is very cool. The effects are awesome. The angles and things, it sort of reminded me of Dragon Ball Tenkaichi, where you'll have characters like a shoulder view of the camera behind them, and they'll go, flying down into a Dragon Ball type city, with a really stylized Toriyama art. But you'll follow them, and you'll see them kind of go down, whiz down and around, and then throw a punch, and then blink, and then you'll see, something else happen, after, and then just the pops of light as they're fighting. And the art is just amazing. For any Dragon Ball Z fan, I don't know how you couldn't geek out when you start seeing that kind of art, and it's beautiful. It's like an updated animated movie Dragon Ball Z that does the show justice. I mean, damn, we've been waiting for something like this forever. And it's not to say that the other Dragon Ball Z animated movies are no good. Some of them are really good, especially the Broly movies, I think. Cooler, those are really, really good. Don't get me wrong. But this is like, with how far animation has progressed, getting to see a good Dragon Ball Z story with good characters and a good villain introduced with this kind of art, we've got something special here. Absolutely. It's beautiful. And I like to the point where it's like, back in the day when you see an energy blast, right, you would see like one color, like the Kamehameha would be like a light blue, and you'd go through, or you'd have some blast that would be yellow or different colors like that. I like in this one that when Bills uses his abilities, it is like the blasts are like above that, to the point where it's like they look like a sun. Like he has created a star when he throws a blast at Goku, or he shoots or whatever. It's like he's firing a sun at him. Like he has just created a star that is going to just destroy. And the effects are amazing. They're amazing. They're some of the best effects I've ever seen in anime or anything of the sort. In any kind of animated form, they're beautiful. The blast, the sun that he creates, or at least it looks like one to that point. The fighting, the counters, the dodging, where you'll see Bills and he'll flip around, because he's sort of like a sphinx. Those old gods that the Egyptians would worship, like where they worshipped, cats, a sphinx, where it's got the long ears and then it's got the really skinny body. And of course, cats are, they're agile as hell, right? So it's sort of like he's an alien cat that somehow was able to, become so powerful that this Whis took him under his wing and taught him martial arts, and somehow he became this godlike creature. Which is really cool. And that brings me, so the effects are great, the art is amazing, the best we've ever seen for Dragon Ball, I think, Dragon Ball Z. Let's talk about Bills, the character, for a while, because it's really important. A new villain. We haven't gotten a lot of strong villains, I think, aside from your core three in Dragon Ball Z. Cooler, Broly, but a lot of the other movie villains, I think, are forgettable. Bills is one that is not forgettable. The androids are pretty good too, but some of them are forgettable. Bills is not forgettable. I think that Bills is a really, really cool character. Where do you go from the point that Goku is basically, or Goku and Vegeta, their whole crew is basically the strongest crew in the known universe in terms of Dragon Ball Z? Where do you go from there to create a villain that's even more powerful than that? Well, you can always create a god, right? Especially an evil god that destroys. You have, good gods, like you have, your King Kai, you have your Supreme Kai, all of these godlike, otherworldly characters in the Dragon Ball universe. Well, what about the opposite of that? You have, Supreme Kai, you have these really light, I guess you could say like God of Light type characters. What about the opposite? We've never seen anything like that. A god that's evil, that just destroys, as sort of like what he does. It's sort of like like life and death, light and darkness, change and then eventually decay and death. It's kind of like having that other side to it as a character, and I really, really like that. The character design is cool, the idea is cool, and the way they write him in Battle of the Gods is awesome, because it's sort of like he is a god, he has this power, but at the same time, what is a god? What do you think of a god as? He's got personality quirks, he's got weird things about him. He loves to eat, he wants to try all these different foods. He seems like a nice guy, just don't piss him off, right? Because that's sort of like, it's sort of like, and this is the same with a lot of people in the real world too. Everybody at their core is basically good, I would say. But the problem is that some people can't control their temper. Bills is sort of like, he is a villain, but it's sort of like he's not completely evil. He's a god of destruction, yes, but it's sort of like he can't control these urges. He doesn't really. It's like his hobby to destroy, to at least destroy something. He's obligated. It's almost like he's obligated to do it based on what he is. but at the same time, he is a pretty nice guy for the most part, as long as you don't piss him off. And then at the point when you do, this was really written well in this movie, where it comes down to really, Bills is there, he's chilling, he's trying to find this Super Saiyan God that he had this precognitive dream about. So this sort of like godlike and visionary dream that he saw from, I guess, the future type thing. So he's looking for a Super Saiyan God, which at that point doesn't exist, right? And he's there, he's sort of having fun at Bulma's 38th birthday, and it comes down to him and Fat Boo. And Fat Boo does not want to share pudding with Bills. And it's so clever. It's so cleverly written, because it's like, Bills has got these personality quirks, that's the type of character he is. Fat Boo doesn't want to share any pudding with him, and Bills has never tried pudding. So, to a god who's like, I'm a god, you let me try that pudding. And then Fat Boo's like, no, I'm a fat blob, and I eat whatever I want, and I'm going to eat it as fast as I can, so you can't have any because I'm greedy. And, you know, doesn't respect Bills in that way, doesn't know who he is, has no idea, doesn't care because he's so powerful and he's used to stomping people, that Bills just loses his shit. The next thing you know, he's a woman beater, Bulma slaps him and he backhands her, and then Vegeta goes nuts. It's like so clever. It's like, yeah, Bills is a woman beater. He holds no prejudice. He's an alien, so he doesn't hold prejudice to, you know, those earthly ideas of this is male, this is female, you don't hit a female, whatever. He's a god. He does whatever he wants. So then Vegeta goes apeshit and loses it on him and attacks him, and it's really, really clever. It's funny that, you know, they take a character that's this godlike, but yet they give him a humanistic element that he has these personality quirks, and you just really don't want to piss him off, and he has no tolerance because of the power he has, because he feels compelled or obligated to destroy. That's what he is. He's a god of destruction. So he's a very complex and interesting character. He's not as simple as just, I am evil, so I am to destroy, I am here to destroy. That would be too simplistic, and we've had a lot of villains like that in Dragon Ball Z before, Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z before. And I think that whole idea of like, I'm evil just because I am, is it's too simplistic, and I think that Bills is interesting because he's more complex than that. You know, he is like, he has all those different personality quirks, and he has no tolerance because he has this power, so he can do whatever he wants, but yet still characters will not necessarily always respect him because they don't know who he is, and things like this can occur. So I really like Bills as a character. I liked Whis. I liked, you know, everything about him I thought was interesting, that he's not just purely 100% I want to kill you because I do. It seems more like he's got like eternal life, so he's looking for some kind of stimulation, or he's looking for things that interest him, different foods, different things like this, different environments, and especially fighting against someone that can put up a fight against him, and almost no one can. Of course, in the Dragon Ball Z universe, Goku is there. So obviously, you know, he would want to test his skills against someone like Goku, or vice versa, which we get to see a lot of. So in terms of the writing, I think it's great. In terms of Bills, I think he's great. The whole party thing is really funny. They even mix in Emperor Pilaf there, who is pretty funny at the things that occur with him, which I like a lot. I like the events that occur with him, and I think they're a lot of fun. They even mix in the Dragon Balls for a part of it to find out about this Super Saiyan God mode that sort of like is a legend but hasn't really been created yet. The one thing I would take away from it is I do think that the transformation in order to turn Goku into a Super Saiyan God is a little bit too simplistic. I was looking for something maybe a little bit more complex than the simple explanation that we got from Shenron, which was that basically if five Saiyans are to hold hands together and they all have good hearts, that one of them could become a Super Saiyan God. I don't know. I mean, it's sort of like something where it's like, okay, I guess I could buy it because they would never have tried that before. You know, they would never have known of that before. But I guess I'm just looking for something a little bit more complex than that, a little bit more interest in that. I think it'd be more interesting if they would think about, you know, what a god is and how a god would be created and what a god is created from. And, you know, maybe, you know, play with some of the ideas of belief or worship that gives the god power, and have people somehow, I don't know, worship Goku or give him some kind of belief or think about it in a certain way that is able to give them all their energy so that he becomes this, supreme being, so to speak. Something along those lines may need a little work, but that's something that the idea that I would have, sort of a little bit more introspection about what a god is, and then come up with an idea of how you would create one. And I think people, or not just people, but living beings in the Dragon Ball universe, it collectively, if they were to believe or something of that nature, then you could create a god. I think that would make more sense rather than just 5 Saiyans holding hands. Even though they would never have tried it and thought of it and tried it, I still think that would have made more sense. So that might be one thing that's a little bit, but the transformation itself looks amazing. The red, I think the red makes sense too, because, when Goku uses his Kaioken, which obviously was taught to him by King Kai, it is also red. So, it's sort of like he's exercising those otherworldly, godlike capabilities that he didn't even really know he had. And it's sort of like something different than a Super Saiyan. You see, so Super Saiyan would be like yellow, but these godlike abilities would come through in the color spectrum as like a red or something of the sort. So I do like that. I think that's good. I think it's better than Super Saiyan 4. I think it looks better. I think it makes more sense because we have seen Kaioken before, and it just fits better. And all around, the battle at the end is amazing, of course. And I don't want to spoil the end for anybody, but I think it was an interesting choice what they did at the end, which goes away from the usual, I don't want to spoil anything, the usual ending that you would have in Dragon Ball Z, which is Goku comes in to save the day, ... I'll let you fill in the rest of the details. Those of you who have seen it know exactly what I'm about to say, or should. So just to wrap it up, because I know I'm going on a little while here now, I really did enjoy Dragon Ball Z Battle of the Gods. I thought it was an absolute treat. I really would love to see a new series for Dragon Ball. I think it can be done. I think if you get the writer that was involved in this and maybe some others, and you get them all teamed up together, you can do some interesting things. Maybe they could flesh out another character. It doesn't always have to be necessarily Goku. He's gotten to such a power level at this extent now where it's kind of like he's so powerful to that point where I think it's kind of hard to tie that down to reality. But I do like the idea that Bill says that there's a multiverse in Dragon Ball. That there may be in reality too a multiverse as well, if you guys look into that in physics. But in the Dragon Ball universe, Bill informs Goku that there are 12 universes. So there's a lot of people, or there's a lot of different beings out there. And yes, Goku is insanely powerful, but there's 12 universes. He might be the most powerful in this universe, aside from maybe Bill's and I don't know Whis. Maybe I don't know how that would go, but it's interesting to hear that there are more universes. So maybe there are other characters out there that are even more powerful in other universes. So that could be something they could explore in the storyline in the future. Just I think this one was packed with lots of great ideas, lots of really good writing. Very clever tying down these godlike characters with this kind of level of power to just a simple, basic, Earth-type platform, and having it feel legit, having it feel not contrived, and that actually having it feel like, yes, this is a god, but he's really, a humanoid-type character too. He has a lot of human aspects to him, and he has faults, and that's basically where a lot of this destruction comes from, is his faults. So, very interesting character builds. Very interesting story for this one. Very clever. The art's amazing. New transformation for Goku, which is really cool. Let's just all consider. I'm starting to petition. Just cross out Dragon Ball GT. It's not canon anymore. Dragon Ball Z Battle of the Gods should be regarded as canon, I feel. Am I saying that just because of how good it is? Yeah, I am. I don't know necessarily if one makes more sense than the other, but I like this one more, so I'm going to go with this one. So let me know what you guys think about Dragon Ball Z Battle of the Gods. If you haven't seen it yet, how excited are you to see it? And if you have seen it, what did you think? I mean, it's been a long time since we got something this good from Dragon Ball Z, and it was very satisfying. Definitely something you guys got to check out, and I hope to see more of this in the future, or a new series in the future that they could maybe do with those other universes, or something of the sort. I love Dragon Ball. I love Dragon Ball Z. The characters are great. It's probably my favorite anime of all time, and this one was something special for me, absolutely. Anyway, let me know if it was for you guys too, and I'll call it here. That's it for this video, guys. I'll see you for the next one. This was Trev, and I'm saying peace.